Hi guys, in this quick video we're going to look at some basics regarding the CV and the covering letter. I trust the information provided here will help you understand what is expected. Go ahead and write your CV and covering letter based on what I discuss with you here. Send it to me and then let's have a look and see what you come up with. Right, let's look at the CV. What is it? Well, the CV is the summary of your life. Curriculum vitae, the word vitae meaning life. It should only include information relevant to your job application. You might also need to submit a CV for some university applications, so let's make sure we get the basics right. The CV format is usually rather straightforward and gives information in a way that is easy to follow. Right, gents, this is the layout of a simple CV. This is a template that you can use. You can copy it and adapt it for your purpose. What we try to do is we try to fit it on a single A4 page. Some people split an A4 page into two columns down the middle. I'm not a fan of that. It tends to look quite untidy and busy, but it's okay if you have done that. Rather put your CV onto a full A4 page and move over to a second or a third page if necessary. As you develop more in life and you gain more experience at work and you start putting more education experience on your CV can grow. Most companies ask for a 1-page or a 3-page CV, but as you progress professionally, you might have a 10 or a 15-page CV if you've done a lot in your life. Let's break it down bit for bit. At the top of our page, we have a heading, and that heading is simple. Curriculum vitae of. And then you write out your name. If you've got a really long name or if you've got like half a dozen names, then your first name and your surname should be fine. Please note that we write out the word curriculum vitae. We don't just say CV. We start off with personal details. That's basic information. Your surname, your first name, your ID number. If you don't know your ID number yet, please go and figure it out. Go find it. For now, for the activity that you have to do today, just provide any random set of numbers that start off with your date of birth. Your address, this can be your physical address, your postal address. You may choose to write both. Then you can say residential address, and underneath that you can write postal address. Contact number. Normally people provide a cell phone number. Landlines aren't that popular anymore. You need to provide a contact number so that your potential future employer can phone you. Gender, a lot of people are leaving this out these days, but that's just simply male or female. If you're anything in between, that's up to you to fill that in. Marital status, also not necessary, but the options there are single if you haven't married yet, married if you are married, widowed if your partner has passed away, and divorced. Nationality, if you're South African, you will write South African. There are sometimes the options, people put their religion in there or their denomination. They also put in their race, black, white, Indian, colored, etc. It's not always necessary to put that in there, but you decide what is the most relevant to the position you're applying for. Usually the next part of your CV is education, so you could either use the heading education, or in this case we've used qualifications. You would put your most recent education first, typically. So if you're still at high school like you are, you would start off with senior school, and at the name of the institution you can write grade college high school. Highest grade passed, well, you've only passed grade 8, you're still in grade 9, you completed grade 8 last year, and then you will write down a list of your subjects and their symbols. Those symbols could be a level 7 or a level 6 or level 5. You must please be honest with this. You will often have to include a copy of your report. For the activity that you have to do today, please don't worry too much about accurately writing down your symbols. You can take a guess what you think you deserve. The next thing we look at is work experience, and once again we usually put our most recent job first, and if we've worked for numerous businesses or organizations, we list them. Depending on how many jobs you've had in the last 3 or 4 years, we normally don't add more than 3 or 4 unless the experience gained from that place of employment is absolutely relevant to your job application. What you do need to include with work experience is the name of the employer, the address of the employer. Normally, the period of employment should definitely be there, and the position that you held. So let's say I was a part-time waiter at a wedding venue, then I'd put my name of the employer. There would be Besem Bos Wedding and Function Venue, and then the address wherever they are. Period of employment, then I would write down January 2019 to December 2019, and then position, let's say I was a waiter. Hobbies and interests, that's a nice little thing to have. List hobbies and interests that are relevant to the application, that would make people see that you are a well-rounded person. You might include things like sport, running, cycling. You might want to include some cultural activities, singing, etc. Please do not write I'm interested in music, or I listen to music, or I'm interested in television, because most people do those things. And then finally, skills. This is a nice little thing to have, and it is a place for you to list relevant skills. Let's say you've got computer skills, computer literacy. You can write that in there. Maybe you are skilled with handling money. Maybe you are a confident person. Add any skills that you think are relevant to the job you're applying for. The referee section of a CV is very important. That is a person that can be contacted to give a reference for your character. The person that is usually listed there would be a previous employer. Stay away from listing family. Please don't put your mom or your dad there, because I'm sure they're going to say nice things about you anyway. The only time you would list a family member is if you actually worked for them. As far as possible, try to avoid that. Yeah, so that is the person you worked for. List the name of the company as well, and then a contact number. Just some advice for when you do start doing this in a real life situation. Always ask permission before you put someone down as a referee. Just now they get a surprise phone call and they might be taken aback from that. So, right, list that as far as possible. Try to include 3 referees. The more recent, the better. Now we quickly talk about the covering letter. What is it? Well, an application letter is an opportunity to impress. You need to be able to sell yourself using easy to understand language and yet still remain polite, perhaps even seem humble. Promote your skills, but avoid coming across as arrogant. You can use this as an opportunity to highlight some of your skills and experience, but make sure that what you say about yourself is relevant to the job. Also, don't say too much. You want to keep this to a single page. Covering letter basic format. Let's go through this and to see what information we need to put in there. We start off at the top of the page with 2 addresses. The sender's address, that's you, goes on the top right. Here's the example: 13 Willow Estate, Old Main Road, Hillview, 3610. And immediately under that you put the date. Please note how we are writing the date out. We're saying 12 August 2020. We're not saying 12-8-20 or some short version like that. To the left, normally we include the recipient's address, that is who we are writing to, and that is made up of a few parts. The top line will always be the name of the department or the person that you are writing to. Now, normally you do not know who you are writing to because it's a job application and the information is in a advertisement, perhaps in a newspaper. So just go with the HR manager. If a name is indicated, then this is the place you can write the person's name as well. Immediately under that, write the name of the company or organization that you are writing to. In this example, it's Woolworths. Underneath that, you write the complete address where the letter should go. The example given here is Private Bag X 220 Durban 4000. skip a line and greet the person. Greet them by saying dear sir / madam, and that's the only place I ever want to see that or / used. The reason why we do that greeting is because we do not know if the HR manager to whom we are writing is a man or a woman. If it so happens that you do know the person you are writing to is a man, then you can stick with dear sir. If you do know that it is a woman, then you can stick with madam. But if you are not certain, as will be the case for most applications, stick with dear sir, madam. Immediately under that, please provide a suitable heading and underline that heading. Unfortunately, in the example from the work sent to you last week, the heading was left out. Please make sure that you include the heading. Now we'll have a look at the particular paragraphs in the letter. Let's look at the paragraphs of this covering letter. Starting with paragraph 1, you can include a single sentence that indicates the post that you're applying for and where you saw the advertisement. The simple way of writing that is, I hereby apply for the position for a waiter at the Durban Mall Woolworths coffee shop that was advertised in the Volksblad of 5 August. Now you can leave it there. What some people do is they write the line, I have included my curriculum vitae. That is fine to have it in paragraph 1. I prefer leaving it out of paragraph 1 and including it in my final paragraph. I leave that up to you. If we look at the second paragraph, it's a few brief sentences where you give some detail about your work experience, if you have any. You should also refer to how your experiences have benefited you for the current position that you are applying for. Along with that, highlight your qualities that you believe make you a suitable person for the job. Look at this example. The experience I have gained working at wedding venues has given me the skills I need to work well with all sorts of people. This will be beneficial as the core of waitering is about working with people. You can go on to talk briefly about other traits you have. Talk about your confidence, you're a good listener, that you're attentive to detail. Write what is relevant. Don't babble on unnecessary information. Paragraph 3. This is where you indicate why you want to work for the company. Now obviously we all want to earn a wage, but please don't ever write because I want money. You should also indicate your working times and when you can start. Here is an example. I have a keen interest in developing interpersonal skills and developing a better understanding of customer relations. I believe the experience afforded me will allow me to develop in these areas, and in turn, I believe I can be an asset to the company. I am available every day of the week. If my application is successful, I will be able to start on the 1st of September. Please note that this is a formal letter, so we are writing out the word first and not using the number 1. Paragraph 4, also the conclusion. This is where you show your appreciation and your wish for further communication from the company. Simple as the following. Thank you for your attention to my application. I look forward to hearing from you. That last sentence basically indicates that you are expecting a reply. As I mentioned with paragraph 1, I prefer to include the sentence, please find attached my curriculum vitae. Once again, I remind you the option is yours to include it in the conclusion or in the introduction. Remember that when you finish your letter, you have to sign it off. Yours faithfully and your name written out in full. But hold on, some of you in the example may have seen the words yours sincerely. You may use the words yours sincerely only if, where you have said dear sir, madam, you have instead used dear Mr. or Mrs. and included a person's name. If you have not used a person's name next to dear, then you must say yours faithfully. Leave open a line or two and indicate your word count. Gentlemen, I hope that this is clear and easy to understand. Please go ahead and practice writing your covering letters. I want to use the opportunity to see what you understand or identify where there might be problems and work on fixing those. So go ahead and do your best.